Hey guys, so it's been a little while. I was originally planning to make a reaction video to something a lot more funny, but considering that mm, just taking my sweet ass time editing the video. Sorry. Sorry I got an email. I just got four separate emails. Anyways, because I'm taking my sweet ass time to edit the video, it's going to take some time for that specific reaction video to come out. So, instead, in the meantime, as my like first little return video from weeks of studying for midterms, and in a couple of weeks it's going to be finals, I decided that I'm going to make a reaction video, like a standard reaction video to one of Shoe0nHead's videos. So I've mentioned her like a few times throughout this channel. She is one of the few YouTubers that I just watch more consistently, despite the fact that she only uploads like every few months at this point. She just released a video a couple of hours ago, so I kind of just wanted to do a little blind reaction to this video and just give my 2 cents on it. So yeah, I know it's a little bit lazy, but this other video that I'm planning is taking some time. Gotta find a way to make it more cohesive, and it's just taking some time. And not to mention I have other assignments that I'm trying to do, but yeah. Anyways, let's jump into the reactions, shall we? Hey guys, so this is editing me here. So I have some very unfortunate news for me. The video ended up lagging a lot. So now I have to spend some considerable time editing out as much of the lag as possible. Fortunately, the audio was still perfectly preserved, so I'm going to have to basically replace the visuals with some avatar picture clips on the parts of the video that lagged, and all other parts of the video that didn't lag, or my actual webcam recording just running smoothly, I'm going to leave it in. So yeah, that's pretty much just the status report. So yay! More time for me to edit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to inform you that the rumors are indeed true. The Democrats have struck back. In the New Jersey governor's race, the Democrat won. In the Virginia governor's race, the Democrat won. And in the New York City race, Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo to become the next mayor of America's largest city. But the question on everyone's mind is, was it just a fluke? Just easy wins in blue cities and states? Or is there something more to this? Is this a sign of things to come?
So I kind of just wanted to lightly brush up on specifically New York because, like, fun little tidbit, I'm planning to actually take a little holiday vacation trip to New York myself in like around a month from now, and yeah, in the holiday. And I've been hearing some talks about like this guy, the mayor, the New York mayor, and him being very socialist, and it's like it was comical. Like I was honestly just laughable because the whole oversimplifying of rather like super unrealistically attainable policies, which were basically just lies because he doesn't even have the actual authority or the proper authority to enact on some of the policies, like the whole like free or affordable buses and the freeze rent on housing issue. It's like he basically just lied to you guys' face and offered you empty promises. Like like I'm not even fully barely ever like knowledgeable on politics and like actual business the internal workings of how politics works, especially in America. And even I believe that that was way too good to be true. And people legitimately for it. And also, I heard him talking, there are some policies talking about like higher taxes on the rich, and they're specifically like, I think he said like corporate taxes were going to be increased by 11.2%, which was going to just encourage basically the richest people in New York to just flee the state, flee the cities, and go to more for affordable and like corporate friendly environments and states to build their businesses elsewhere. Basically, just eliminating a good chunk of New York's income tax because I saw somewhere that like 48% of like the top earners in New York are paying an income tax, or I think it's the 48% of the New York income tax comes from the top percentage. So like the whole, spreading the whole tax the rich narrative, even though like the rich, the super wealthy are paying the most in taxes. It's just like it's overall like super childish, oversimplifying, and like la feel good fluff type of environment that's just makes it sound like a joke. But he preyed on people's hopes and they voted for him. And now it's like I heard like some businesses are planning to pull themselves out from New York, which would equal basically less revenue, less less income tax. So, yep. Anyways, proceed.
Democratic Party finally turning their losing streak around? Are they actually listening to the people now? Did they finally learn their lesson? No. Thanks for watching. My last 3 videos about electoral politics were warning the Democratic Party that young men were moving right because the party f***ing sucks and was becoming the young men eat and die movement, spanking the Democratic Party for losing because they elected one of the most unlikable shittiest candidates while offering absolutely nothing to voters, and defending the voters from the wrath of a bunch of liberal streamer man-children calling the voters stupid and evil for daring not to vote for Hillary Clinton and brownface. But the thesis for all 3 of those videos was basically the same. As the right embraces working-class populism, the Democratic Party and the left will continue to fade into irrelevancy. But as I also predicted in those last videos, there might be an eventual pendulum swing, and it might be happening much sooner than I predicted. Like, how did we go from Republicans winning the popular vote, in part thanks to a lot of the young people voting, to a bunch of data showing those same young people dropping their support for the GOP already? But the interesting thing is, those young people don't seem to be moving to the Democratic Party either.
My guess is probably because people are more waking up and like realizing like the GOP might have had the advantage of because of like how allegedly like super flawed and terrible the Democratic Party was, especially when it comes to like the government shutdown situation and how there was at least like there's a particular Democrat governor or that was literally just admitting that they were literally creating or stalling the budget and like willing to let people starve, specifically the people who are in financial need, just to get their policies through and get reach an agreement. Yeah, that probably like pushed people way off of the end from the the Democrat side, but also realizing that that doesn't necessarily mean that the GOP is on their side completely either, because there's fundamentally speaking, people believe that like all of the politicians, especially the super powerful ones, are only in it for themselves. And in terms of like, I guess the last U.S. elections and all that, the Republicans just took advantage of how shitty the Democrats were and just said people, use the populist tactic and like tell people what they wanted to hear and delivered on some of the policies, but also fundamentally like not being completely or authentically for on their side. So more people are seemingly either becoming very politically disillusioned or just staying independent or being more, on the middle because both parties are very, very much flawed in their own ways. The only difference is that as of recently, like the Democrat side is like overtly flawed. The GOP at the very least are better at, hiding and disguising their flaws. They're more calculated. Um, where was I going with this? Basically, just my predictor is like whichever party has the more influence in terms of like the popular vote is seemingly able to get away with more deceptive stuff and just getting more power and, you know, benefiting for themselves and just being able to get away with certain things until people catch on. So it's kind of like a pendulum swing effect, but yeah. Let me just shut up.
Where are they going? And do the Democrats have a plan to scoop these people up? Yes, they do, and they called it, I'm not kidding, deciding to win. Deciding to win, as if the whole time they have just been simply deciding to lose. It was a choice, guys. They changed their mind and they want to win now. In this video, I will talk about why I think Zohran Mamdani won. We will go through the Democrat Party's plan to decide to win. We will briefly talk about the rise of the political commentator Nick Fuentes, the MAGA civil war, and what I like to call the inevitable rise of shoe-silism. If that sounds interesting, stick around. If it doesn't, you can leave. It's not like I'll miss you or anything. But baka. I know a lot of you are not very interested in politics. You come here for the fun Reddit slop, the men vs. women content. Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, politics kind of seeps into your lives whether you want it to or not. So you might as well be entertained when you hear about it and have some fun with it when you can. And I just so happen to have the perfect app for that. So before we get into this political deep dive, let's quickly give a shout out to today's sponsor, one of my favorite sponsors to work with, Ground News. Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers a transparent and easy way to read news from all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center.
So just quick, like, I feel like if I were to ever get enough followers to be able to actually be eligible to get sponsors, like I would honestly, if Ground News ever wanted to sponsor me someday, if at all, that'd probably be one of the few sponsorships that I would actually like authentically accept and probably use because I know I'm familiar with Ground News and I feel like it's a very necessary tool, especially in this political climate right now. And yeah, I support them a lot personally. Like it's very useful based on the feature that she's going to describe soon. So why do I keep laying on my mouse?
Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of political bias that helps you understand the full story and makes sure you're getting both sides. One of my favorite features on Ground News is the blind spot feature, which shows you news stories that have been covered by one side of the spectrum and ignored by the other. For example, here is a story about how the White House apparently intervened in an Andrew Tate federal probe. 29 news sources covered this. 86% of them were left-wing. None were right-wing. Ground News also makes it really easy to compare headlines to see how political bias can affect framing. For example, this feud between Elon Musk and Billie Eilish.
Oh my God,
this right-wing headline reads, Elon Musk claps back at Billie Eilish after she slams him for hoarding wealth. And
yeah, that was some weird-ass, dumbass, tone-deaf shit right there between the elites. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a lesbian or part of the allies or you support, racial minorities, you're still part of the rich. You're the minority that has all the power, or most of the power in this case. Learn your place.
this left-wing article frames the same story as Elon Musk's comebacks are as flat as his attempts at jokes. Very different vibes going on here. I have been using Ground News since 2021 because it is just a great and fun way to keep up with the news. But don't just take my word for it. Even the Nobel Peace Center called it an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. Best of all, I am currently offering 40% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to access all their amazing features. So go to ground.news/shoe or use the QR code here on screen, or use the link in the video description down below. It's only like $5 a month, which is basically the price of like a coffee. You can also gift a subscription to somebody. Just select the Vantage subscription, add a customized gift message, and Ground News will send it straight to their inbox where they can activate it. The perfect Christmas present for your out-of-touch uncle who gets all his news from Facebook. So thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Right? Now, let's get back to the video. For those of you familiar with the Shoe0nHead channel, you know I've harshly criticized the Democratic Party for all my career. Some say too harshly. Frankly, I don't care. And some say I'm not harsh enough on the Republicans. First of all, true, but let's be honest, that's not why you come here. You go to Kyle Kalinske for that. Just like you go to Destiny to see opinions you can hear on CNN, or to Hassan for dog training tips. You come here to hear, golly gee willikers, I'm left-wing and the Democrats have gone crazy. That's the shit you're here for. But are the Democrats actually getting their shit together? Or did they simply get lucky in a few blue areas? One of those blue.
Just a quick tidbit based on like what I've seen. It's like she's like one of those rare cases of left-leaning people who are hypercritical of other leftists and liberals and specifically Democrats. And that's why like her specifically, she's very much ostracized within those groups of people, especially the people that she listed off as an example. She's like one of those rare cases because it's like one of the biggest prominent issues with that group is that they don't want self accountability. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be checked for anything, especially if it's someone who claims to be a part of their group. But what I don't see very much is like a somebody who is right leaning or Republican or conservative who is heavily critical of the GOP or other conservatives or like just the basically the right wing equivalent of Shoe. Like I have not yet to encounter personally anybody who's like that. Like we have plenty of people on the left who are hypercritical of the GOP. We have that rare few samples of the people on the left who are criticizing the left, but not so much people on the right exclusively criticizing the right, while also still somewhat supporting the right in itself. And I'm personally just more so in the middle, just like the few people who are more in the middle. And yeah, that's just my observation. Carry on.
Areas being my city, New York, where Democratic Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani won the election and will become the new mayor. And a lot of people are like really confused about how this happened. And if you're one of those people, you really need to keep watching. If you don't understand why Mamdani won, I'm sorry to say, but you're kind of like the liberals in 2016 who didn't understand why Trump won. It's actually extremely understandable why Zohran Mamdani won, and it's not just because New York is full of commies or whatever. He is objectively the best Democratic candidate that they've had in a very, very long time. Like, I know the bar is in hell there, but he's young, he's energetic, he's charismatic, and people are really tired of the White House doubling as a retirement home. And of course, I like many of his economic policies. I like the universal childcare thing, the transportation, flipping off the Christopher Columbus statue. That's the shit I don't like. Bitch, that's our fucking guy. He was a brave Italian explorer who discovered America, and in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero. End of story. I've said this many times, but
And yeah, one thing just quick about that guy specifically is Zoran Magdami. Oh my God, I can't pronounce his name. Uh, I think I also heard him making a policy claiming that he's going to like legalize prostitution in there or legalize sex work. It's like, but also like this guy's like he's a Muslim. He Muslim, but also very much pushing a lot of very liberal like policies. liberal like policies. Like of course I support the universal healthcare, and I like the good policies like the affordable like public transit stuff. Like these are ideal. These are great things to have, but also it's just like I said earlier, the way that he presents these policies, and he's just coming off as a bit unrealistic at times. Although, like, I understand why people would be like so enthralled with him in terms of just charismatic, him being charismatic and not being old. Like, there's that. So I guess it's just like, what is it? Low hanging fruit options for politicians, especially New York. So yeah, anyways. I mentioned he's Muslim because there's like some people who are pushing around this notion that he's pushing a very like Islam propaganda, and I'm just like, let's just wait. Like, yeah, technically he is being kind of contradictory because he's a Muslim, but he's not advocating for, he's preaching for some things that go against Islam, so that's kind of like iffy, but I guess beggars can't be too, excuse me. Beggars can't really be choosers at this point, so let's
I
just
don't
go.
think the good left-wing policies can even exist alongside the bad left-wing policies. Like, I don't know how you can have free transportation but also be soft on crime. Like, I don't know, like, in what world does that work out? You can't have nice, clean, free transportation if a bunch of drug addicts and violent felons are going around stabbing people and setting them on fire. You can't have nice things if you don't have rules to enforce those nice things. You know what I mean? It's always such a breath of fucking fresh air when I go back to visit my family in
Yeah.
the suburbs of Long Island and I go to the CVS and the fucking toothpaste is free from their plexiglass prisons. I shouldn't have to wait 10 minutes for some poor wagey to come unlock the cagey so I can buy fucking shampoo. We don't have to live that way. Maybe he'll do great, or maybe he gets into power and immediately cucks to the establishment like some other people.
That's probably.
I don't like to talk about it. I just don't know how the hell anyone thought Andrew Cuomo
Yeah.
was going to win. He killed a bunch of grandmas during COVID.
As you admitted this week, you personally altered the state health department report to undercount the death total, to hide the death total, and then evaded and lied to these families for 5 years. So
You killed a shit ton of people. For what? Plus, he doesn't even f***ing live in New York City. He doesn't live in the city he's running to be mayor of. Cuomo just kind of expected to win based on
Trash.
name recognition alone and being like, hey, at least I'm not the other guy. Sound familiar? Trump actually offered a vision. Make America great again. Mamdani offered a vision. A New York City you can afford. So people took a chance on him. People wanted something different. Andrew Cuomo, he had no vision or anything. Oh man, I love tuning into a debate about New York City and 80% of it is about another f***ing country.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first?
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
I would go to Israel.
I'd make my 4th trip to Israel.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel?
That was the exact
Oh. What the fuck is this glazing? Like, again, not an American, but even that just seemed like that was such a fucking waste of time. What was that? No, you're right. Like, no more oldies. Like, they're like every country should have a limit on age requirement for who can actually, you know, be in a position of power of any type. Like, there has to be a age limit. Like, this shit is ridiculous. And the Israel glazing, stop that.
moment I knew Zoran was going to win. Bro was just surrounded by NPCs. I love how they're like, where would you go? And Zoran was like, I'm gonna stay here. And instead of being like, no, Zoran, the question was, where would you go? They're like, why wouldn't you go to Israel? Like, that's the answer to the question. Like, that's just the default answer to that question. His win was very
Bottom
much
of the
in
barrel.
part a direct response to the affordability crisis that many Americans are facing. So what is the GOP's answer to the affordability crisis? Oh, great news, guys. There is no affordability crisis. It doesn't exist. It's all in your head, silly. Need to save money? Simply don't buy your grandmother a Christmas present this year.
Budget, budget, budget. You need a plan. Also remember, adults don't need gifts, okay? Focus on the people in your life who are age 3 to 18. Grandma doesn't need slippers. If they don't live by you, don't get them a gift. Now's not the time to spend and break the banks.
Zoran's win was also basically a
Wow.
direct response to the housing crisis in America. So what is the GOP's response to the pie-in-the-sky, commie gobbledygook that Zoran Mamdani is selling? Surely they have a better solution.
Here we go. The White House is floating this idea. Bill Pulte is saying, thanks to President Trump, we can indeed work on the 50-year mortgage, a complete game changer. How does that work in dollars? Here you go. 30-year fixed mortgage right now. You're paying $2,038 a month, principal and interest on a $400,000 home. At the bottom, under 50 years, you'd save a couple $100 a month at $1,822 principal and interest. That is proposed. Do you like this idea?
I do not like this idea.
Not lowering prices, not building more housing, no, just being a good little slave to the bank for 50 years. You might as well be a rentoid forever in this case. Like, at least you don't have to fix your own dishwasher. You will own nothing and be happy. Doesn't that sound great, Gen Z? Vote for us.
Yes.
We'll release the Epstein files and finally drain the swamp. Awesome. Finally, justice. Here it comes, the Epstein files phase 1. We got all your favorite E-celebs here. Don't you think that's a little tacky? I mean, like, this is an international child trap. The Epstein files are on my desk. Oh, that's great, that's great. That's what we've been waiting for.
Oh.
Well? Oh, they don't exist. Wait, what? Yeah, the Epstein files don't exist. They're a Democrat hoax. But you just said, hey, what the fuck? That's my wallet. Sorry, Israel needs new weapons. Bye. Psst. What do you want, Democrat? Vote for us. Why? What do you have to offer? Hey, that's my wallet again. What are you people doing? Sorry. Israel needs new weapons. Bye. The Epstein files are a really big deal. This is not a partisan issue. You should absolutely care about an international child trafficking blackmail operation consisting of the most powerful people in the world. And
Okay, just short heads up. I am not fully familiar with the actual ins and outs of this case, so I'm probably not going to have much to say on this part, other than probably my base assumption is that all parties or multiple members of both parties, some way, shape, or form, have been involved. Like the only other thing I've seen, I think, in relation, or is that related to the Epstein file? No, I think that's something different. Never mind. Carry on.
anyone telling you to move on is coping, gaslighting, or in on it. If whatever is in there is so damning that it is a national security risk, the people deserve to know. Like, I don't know about you, but if we are paying taxes to a bunch of satanic pedophiles, I would like to know. That is information I would like to know. Like, I already know we're doing that, but I would like some confirmation. Okay, so literally as I am filming this, Trump is saying he is releasing the Epstein files. So I guess they weren't a hoax. I'm gonna be so honest. I have no idea what the is going on, you guys. I'm sure when this video gets posted, there's already gonna be more things that have happened. Also, Mike Johnson apparently said they need to make changes to the files to make sure we, quote, don't do permanent damage to the political system.
Yeah, the second you hear change or alter files, yeah. Any politician or anybody who's directly involved or has the power to be involved anyway into this, saying that is a risk. It's a risk. They're probably in on it. They're probably implicated. They're probably either guilty or just have some sort of association with it. But it's like, I've been hearing like on and off, like Trump is either going to release the files or no, he's not actually going to release the files, or nope, now he's going to release the files again. But it's not exclusively with him. Like The Democrat leaders have been doing the same thing. It's like, we're going to release them. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. It's like they're using the Epstein file as like a political pawn in their like elections at this point. It's just so disgusting to see. And unfortunately, like virtually nobody has any logistical power to do anything about it, other than the people who are directly involved or have direct access to the files. Sad.
If releasing the Epstein files would do damage to the political system, then so be it. Then it deserves to be damaged. It deserves to be destroyed. Just release the files.
Yeah.
After all, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Isn't that right, government? But it wasn't just the Epstein files thing that has MAGA feeling a little demoralized lately.
Does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn.
We've talked about this a few times on this channel, actually very recently in the male loser epidemic video. The no talented Americans thing is a myth pushed on us by corpos and billionaires, so they can hire foreign workers who will work for less money and won't unionize.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. Because what do you mean we don't have talented people in one of the most economically prosperous countries in the world? How does that make any sense? Like, L Trump on this. Like, L Trump. That's an L take right there. That's just bullshit. Because you just want to extract labor, as much labor as humanly possible, in exchange for very little benefits and pay. Like, you're collaborating with these greedy corporations to do this, that. And it's like in Canada, it's something similar is happening right now. It's like, that's why we have the current discussion of like the influx of immigration and more specifically like Indian immigrants looking for work and trying to, utilize their skills and talents that they've built through their home countries and try to implant it in Canada. But a lot of them are struggling to find sustainable jobs or jobs that actually reward their efforts. Not to mention the housing crisis that's happening. Like, more people are being accounted for and there's less supply of houses, which is increasing the price. And then all of that bullshit. So it's just like the HB1 thing is like, what is the point of the American universities that you have, especially the very Ivy League ones? Like, do these people mean nothing to you? Is the populism thing just a ploy? Like, stop shooting yourselves in the feet like this. Like,
Worker drones who will work under the coercion of deportation, essentially creating infinite scab labor. Even though there are so many Americans in these fields looking for jobs. But those spoiled Americans will ask for a living wage so they can live in a 600-foot square apartment. How dare they? We can't do that. So import 1 billion immigrants. After all, it's good for business.
Folks are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States.
If we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business.
Unfortunately, America does feel like nothing but 3 corporations in a trench coat. But America is not a business.
Yeah.
America is not a corporation. It is a nation. The contrast of what Trump is saying here compared to how he used to talk is staggering. Republicans embracing populism, at least rhetorically, is what gave rise to Donald Trump and fundamentally changed the way Republicans do politics in America. If you go back and watch the debates of Donald Trump in 2016, it's crazy.
We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East. They lied. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
I remember being like, damn, that's not how politicians in general really talked at that time. Like, we would see it from Bernie Sanders and maybe like Ron Paul, but to get up on stage in a Republican debate in front of Republican donors, saying that kind of shit was unheard of. Bro was getting booed. Trump won in 2016 by decrying the bloodlust and warmongering of the Republican Party, but also by speaking to the economic woes of the average working class American. Basically saying, I see you, to people who felt like they haven't been seen by either party in a very long time. Like, I saw people in my life, my neighbors and stuff, that were all like Obama voters, like just flipped to Trump, and now like all of Long Island. Long Island is like the Florida of the Northeast, bro. It is like Trump country there now. Before Trump, oh, my nuggies are here. My nuggies are here. 1 second. 1 second. I must go.
So what we can basically take on this is just virtually almost no politician can be trusted. Like, everything and anything that they can say or do, it's just a tactic to get their votes, to get our votes, I should say, to keep them in power. Because unfortunately, a system run by humans is always going to have flaws. There's always going to be those flaws. It's never going to be perfect, or it's never going to satisfy everybody, or at the sometimes not even the majority in worst case scenarios. But yeah, that's all we can really take away from this. No politician is trusted, hence why the increase of anti-establishment sentiments. Nobody fucks with the White House. Nobody fucks with Parliament or the big guys. Yep.
Go get my nuggies. It's nuggie time. 34-year-old woman, by the way. Mother, by the way. Before Trump, the Democrats basically relied on talking about how the Republican Party didn't care about the working class. But eventually, the problem for Democrats was the working class didn't care about them. But now it seems like the Republican Party is going back on all of that and becoming the Bush-era neoconservative party again, right as they're winning, embracing freaks like Lindsey Graham.
So I just want to say, I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Republicans, is that what you want your party to be? Lowering taxes and killing people? We tried that already. To many Republicans, the solution to the affordability crisis, wreaking havoc on Americans, is simply trusting the free market, working hard, and if that doesn't work, they bust out all reliable.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that.
Hold on.
If you're homeless, just buy a house.
Did you guys get that? Did you guys get that? That's basically what he said. That's basically the mindset that he had. If you can't afford to live here, just don't live here. Well, how the fuck am I gonna leave without any money? Like, you need money to leave, and it's not cheap to leave a country. Even if you move to a more affordable country, you need an exuberant amount of money just to move out. Purchase a plane ticket, all that. That's the most expensive part about moving. Anyways, dumbass Shapiro.
Yes, the classic. Just move. Just move from Economic Zone 67 to Economic Zone 69. I don't know, man. Maybe some people actually like where they live. Maybe they want to make their community better. This is like the libertarian version of just deal with it when you talk to leftists about crime. Like, no, we shouldn't just deal with it. We shouldn't just move. Maybe we can make the cities in our country livable and safe. Maybe better things are possible, actually. My husband and I moved away from our families because of his job, and it f***ing sucks. It sucks raising kids without an extended family around. Say hi to grandma on FaceTime. Not normal, not natural. When I was growing up, it was like aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents were just coming in and out of my house, like bringing over food, like, hey, I got some mancati. I would be babysat by my cousins and my aunts. And because we moved away, my kid won't have that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one reason many young people are putting off having children. The complete lack of community, the lack of a village. If you can't afford to live where your family lives, just move to fucking Gary, Indiana, where there's nobody around and no jobs and no family and no friends, but hey, at least you can afford a house there.
Yeah, I guess it's just, I understand it, but I'm kind of like, oop, I'm very similar in that aspect of like, during my childhood, my father basically lived in a completely different province and was working outside of where we lived. So for a good chunk of my childhood, he wasn't present. He was too busy working abroad, presumably because he couldn't find a decent job in the city that we're living right now. So he was just working abroad and living abroad. And yeah, we also uh and can also relate to the fact that most of my relatives don't even live anywhere near my city. Like we're so far away. Like I have relatives in Toronto, and I think most of them are even not even in the country. So, and apparently, as of recently, I discovered that I have some relatives living in Montreal, like relatives of my mother's side, but that's just a whole nother thing. But basically, the point is that we don't live anywhere close to each other. So we don't really have any opportunities to, well, I don't have any opportunities to have large family gatherings or just meetups or stuff like that. So very sparse. So I can relate. And that's this housing crisis that we're dealing with is probably making it worse and just decentivizing people from having families and living, making communities. So
That's not how life should work, Ben. Maybe take a step back and try to understand. Am I doing bird hands too much? You guys have made me so insecure about the f***ing bird hands thing ever since this meme.
As soon as she starts doing this with her hands when she talks, you are in danger. This is the universal hand signal of manipulation. That bird hand, that's her way of saying, shut up, while trying to inject projections and delusions straight into your brain. Her bird hands are trying to turn your brain into a bird brain. If you let those bird hands peck through your skull, you will become one. It's like Inception, but with fake nails and self-esteem issues. So when you see her throw up the gang signs, the pigeon digits, and you hear those large chicken talons start clicking like the predator, run.
Okay, listen, I'm a woman, okay? We are programmed to scold children. And when no children are around, we scold people on the internet, okay? Anyway, Nick Fuentes is a far-right commentator and a controversial figure to say the least. But his main topic he covers is Israel, which is an extremely hot topic that many other right-wing commentators seem to not want to touch. And the rare times they do touch it, it's them telling you not to talk about it, questioning why you care so much, or shape-shifting into the woke mob they fought against for so many years, calling you names, calling for you to be censored. What's funny is they didn't care about any of Nick Fuentes' rants on like race or women. They only started caring when his rants on Israel were blowing up. Nick recently did an interview with Tucker Carlson which completely ignited the MAGA civil war that was brewing on the right for some time now. It got so ridiculous that even Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor and called for a disavowal of Nick Fuentes. Sir, with all due respect, none. Why do politicians need a resolution in the Senate to disagree with a citizen? Hello, I have gathered you all here today to disavow Hitler Bussy 420. People can't afford groceries, Charles.
yeah, like I'm still surprised that he's still somewhat relevant. Like, is he even making he's probably still somehow making money too. It's like, what, like how? Like how is he like, I don't get it. I guess he just changed his tactics, but a little bit concerning that he's still there, but it is what it is.
Ben Shapiro, in particular, has spent the last few months extremely confused and angry about Zohran Mamdani and Nick Fuentes becoming popular in the mainstream, all while his numbers continue to drop. I honestly don't think he understands what is happening here, so I am going to explain to you, Ben, what exactly is going on here. The American dream does not exist anymore for most people. Young people followed advice that worked for older generations, and it got them nowhere. Young people are tired of this stale, moldy, old, dead consensus that has dominated American politics for a very long time. The one that dragged us into all these foreign wars and sold us out for some cheap plastic shit from China. Young people are tired of being told to sit down and shut up and pledge allegiance to the free market in a country that seems to not give a shit about them, as well as a foreign country they have absolutely no connection to. For so long, establishment hacks and establishment shills looked at the issues bothering the people and just kind of dismissed them. Can't afford to live where you grew up? Just move. Don't like that the toothpaste is locked behind plexiglass? Just deal with it. Think it's kind of f***ed up how you work 40 hours a week and still can't afford to pay rent? What are you, some kind of communist? You don't like funding a genocide with your tax dollars? What are you, anti-Semitic? If you don't address the issues of the people will gravitate towards those who are addressing those issues. It's not Mamdani's fault he won. It's yours. It's not Nick Fuentes' fault he's popular. It's yours. The tragedy of Ben Shapiro is that he led a life worshipping the free market, only to lose in the free marketplace of ideas. Now, with all this neocon rhetoric coming out of the GOP, are the Democrats going to pick up the populist ball that they are fumbling? Are they actually going to get their shit together? Well, they are trying, because they have written an article called Deciding to Win, where after interviewing over 300,000 American voters from both parties, they may have finally discovered the secret to winning.
To give ourselves the best chance to win, we recommend the following changes to our approach. Democrats need to 1. Focus our messaging on an economic program centered on lowering costs, growing the economy, creating jobs, and expanding the social safety net. 2. Advocate for popular economic policies. Moderate our positions where our agenda is unpopular, including on issues like immigration, public safety, energy production, and some identity and cultural issues.
So basically it took you guys 10 years, millions of dollars, and dozens of Microsoft team meetings to come to the conclusion that everyone has been saying forever. You wasted a decade worshipping at the altar of mentally ill Karens, and now you're acting like, hey, what if we were normal is a groundbreaking political discovery.
Yeah, that's just, like, are you trying to be dumb on purpose, or are you just now trying to make yourselves appease to the people that you pissed off or disregarded for so long? It's like, you're gonna have to do a lot more than just state common sense political tactics and strategies. Like, you're gonna have to make some big changes that's possibly gonna piss off some of your supporters. That whole $20 million plan, especially to win back your young male voter thing, while actively not actually addressing the actual things required to probably get them to somewhat follow you, or at least at the very least listen to you, you're a joke. You're either a joke or you're just so in over your heads that you need a whole political reset at this point. Like, it's not even, it's like you come off as funny when you're not trying to be funny whatsoever. Like, we need leaders, not clowns and gestures. And this also applies to kind of Trump too in the GOP. Like, we need actual leaders in these types of situations, not gestures and clowns and shills and all that nonsense. But again, what do I know? I'm not an expert in politics.
You. I could have told you all this for free. It is a bad sign that it took you over a decade to come to the same conclusion that my audience has come to like a decade ago. And they're all retarded. Please reflect on this, I beg of you. Also, what do you mean you had unpopular positions on public safety? Like, why would you even say that out loud? Yeah, let's vote for the party that admits it was wrong about the issue of crackheads shanking people in the street. I love this quote from Nancy Pelosi randomly shoved in here.
Winning an election is a decision. You make a decision to win, and then you make every decision in favor of winning.
How deep? How thought-provoking. Thank you, Nancy. What would we do without you? Probably win an election.
Democrats have changed our focus. In comparison with the Democratic Party of 2012, today's Democratic Party is more focused on issues like climate change, democracy, abortion, and identity and cultural concerns, and less focused on the economy and middle class. The table below shows this shift. Through an analysis of the prevalence of selected words in the 2024 Democratic Party platform, in comparison with the 2012 Democratic Party platform.
This whole study is really interesting, but I need you guys to see this chart.
Just look it out here. Sorry. Democratic Party's priority have changed. Change in frequency per 10,000 words of select terms. White, Black, Latino, absolute change. Climate, guns, LGBT, justice, democracy, reproductive, equity. And then, yeah, so basically, as they were saying, it's most of their vocabulary is basically just identity politics and climate issues and I guess moral self-aggrandizing issues or morality, justice. I say moral aggrandizement because that's basically what it came off as. Just pandering, virtue signaling, no actual legitimate conversations, discourse, or potential change for the better. So that's largely why this party has been like going through the shooter to the pooper for nearly a decade, or probably over a decade anyways. So less about small business, crime, veteran work, so yeah, less talks about the economy. So yeah, just basically everything that they just parroted earlier.
Because when I first saw this, the scream I screamed. So Democrats since 2012 have increased their rhetoric on race by, sit down, 1,137%. On the gays, 1,044%. Their rhetoric on men has decreased by 51%. It is now negative 51%. On fathers, negative 100%. They just stopped talking about that shit. Veterans, negative 31%. The economy, negative 51%, because nobody cares about that, right? The middle class, 79%, but I guess you can't really talk about something that is disappearing. And jobs, negative 47%. It somehow gets worse. Apparently voters trust Republicans more on the most important issues to them, and trust Democrats the most on the least important issues to them. Like, they literally care the least about LGBT, but trust Democrats the most with it. The most popular Democratic policies among voters are things like lowering drug prices, banning stock trading, expanding Medicare, and raising the minimum wage. While the most unpopular Democratic policies are things like abolishing the police, providing free healthcare to illegal immigrants, and affirmative action. You're telling me this for the first time. Democrats, here is some advice for free. You can't just be MAGA light. Why would people drink Mr. Pibb when Dr. Pepper is right there? You know what I'm saying? You gotta bring something different, something better to the table. And that different should be working class focused economic populism. I don't just want two neocon parties, okay? But all of this is pointless when it's clear the Dems are not changing at all. They're just gonna change their messaging. They're putting...
So basically, yeah, just like focusing on the issues of the majority. Catering to the majority. That's typically, especially from a philosophical point of view, like the most common sense approach that you can do. Like, I think the term is like, is it utilitarian approach? You guys get what I mean. It's just basically you focus more on meeting the needs and well-being of as many people as possible. Like, that's just, yeah, just that. So all this like studies and all these little tidbits is just confirming everything that we've been observing for decades at this point. Or, yeah.
Pretty wrapping paper and a bow on a big fat smelly turd. There is a chance that the Democrats may win based entirely on Orange Man bad. Again. Which means they might get into office by learning absolutely f***ing nothing. Again. Then the voters will go, oh my god, nothing has changed, and then they'll vote for a Republican. American politics is just a revolving door of villains, isn't it? Rest assured, whoever wins, we lose. If you're actually gonna do this shit, if you're actually gonna do what you're saying in this little article, you better be going whole hog, not just the tip. I'm talking embracing shoe-silism. For many years, I have been smeared as many things. Grifter, flip-flopper, fence-sitter, racist, sexist, homophobic, but I am not a grifter, flip-flopper, or a fence-sitter. I'm simply living in 2055. You see, America has been a hyper-capitalist, economically center-right, socially center-left country since about the mid-century. And I know libertarians in my audience are gonna be like, it's not capitalism, it's cronyism. Okay, whatever the f you wanna call it, it sucks, okay? So what if instead, and hear me out, what if instead we were a more people-focused, community-focused, working-class-focused, economically left, socially right country? All the data shows more people fall into that quadrant, the right country. All the data shows
more conservatives on cultural, social issue, more progressive, more conservative on social cultural issues, more progressive on economic issues, more progressive on both, more conservative on both 32%, more progressive on blah, 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 on conservative. Okay, so the most being 46% are people who are progressive on both issues, which I feel like it makes the most sense. People want progressive on both sides.
more people fall into that quadrant, the populist quadrant, the shoe-silist quadrant, if you will, than the current system we are in today. If a shoe-silist party existed, it would be incredibly popular, but it doesn't exist. And that's probably by design, honestly. The Social Democrat Party of Denmark has passed many progressive policies that liberals in America would only dream of. Protection from rent hikes, free college and healthcare, carbon taxes, and a very strong welfare system. But the Social Democrat Party...
Let me just say this. Free college, it's not free in the sense of what you think. Like, it's free for the citizens, but the money still has to come from somewhere. So it's most likely publicly funded universities and colleges. At most, since most of these European countries that have these types of progressive policies on their education, they operate more so like publicly funded post-secondary institutions. So, yeah.
also believes in a strict immigration policy. They believe that if immigration is too fast or chaotic, it puts pressure on working class communities, weakens social unity, and makes it harder to maintain their strong welfare system. Wow, what a f***ing grifter Denmark is. I feel like so many people nowadays are like terminally left-right brain to the point where like they look at issues and instead of being like, that solution makes sense to me, I believe that, I agree with that, they instead go, that's the left-wing solution, therefore I will believe in that. And it's so stupid and hyper-partisan and makes absolutely no sense to me, and that's why I think like a lot of left-right brain hyper-partisan people don't understand me or people like me. That's why they call me a centrist or fence-sitter or flip-flopper or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm not a fence-sitter. I have many strong opinions. You just don't like them. And
yeah, and I feel like people who think like this are just, I think it's deliberately and also deliberately like pushed onto them, or they became like that due to the politicians. Like politicians and also the media, the government, all that is deliberately trying to bipartisan everybody and politicize every single issue, especially things that don't really have to be politicized, things that people would normally unilaterally agree on or disagree on and have more of a consensus on, are so hyper fixated on left rights that they're not even thinking straight on the actual issues, the issues or the solutions themselves. And I feel like once again, it's a deliberate attempt to try to distract people and manipulate people for, again, powerful forces from above in order for them to stay in power. It's a ploy to me. That's what I see. So I'm definitely like, I'm glad I'm not one of these people who are so easily overly fixated on the politics or their left-right battle of the multitude to be able to see things for what they actually are. But unfortunately, a lot of people, or a growing number of people, especially in the younger generation, I believe, are slowly losing that ability. Like media literacy is dying, literacy in general is dying, and now obviously political literacy is dying to the point where people are so hyper fixated on just culture war, political war, gender war, war battles on the internet with pointless discussions, or not even really discussions, just argumentations, to the point where nothing is done. So ultimately, the best solution is just people to get off the fucking internet and just look at things for what they are. Touch some fucking grass. Touch some grass.
No, I'm not a flip-flopper. Just because you don't understand the concept of having opinions that don't perfectly fall on the arbitrary, always changing left-right axis that is American circus politics. There's nothing incoherent about my beliefs on paper. None of them contradict one another. I don't understand. She likes free healthcare but doesn't want to chemically castrate children? She believes in workers' rights but wants a stricter border? I don't get it. Like, where is the contradiction? I'm basically just Bernie Sanders before he got his spine surgically removed by the DNC. In conclusion, MAGA and the Republican Party embracing populism is what made them so popular in the first place. But if the Republican Party's answer to all these issues young people are having is, F you, just move, you're not talented, maybe you'll own a home when you're 70 years old, they're doomed. Like, they had a small, brief fling with populism and ghosted it. Just pumped and dumped. Like a fat whore they're ashamed of and won't bring out on dates in public.
As I'm editing this, Trump and Mamdani had a meeting together, and it was very interesting.
We were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea. When he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
I'm sorry, this is my new favorite problematic yaoi ship. They love each other. Maybe it's not over, folks. Maybe the power of friendship and populism will save us all.
Listen, I want my kids to grow up in a safe and affordable world where they can get jobs and they can start a family and then they can have the same for their kids. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's what most people want, left and right. They just have different ideas on how to get there. It just so happens my ideas happen to be the correct ones, and if you disagree with them, you will be sent to the re-education camp. Do you want one? Do you want a nuggie? Pledge your allegiance to Shoe0nHead's and you get a nuggie. So that was that little video. If you liked it, please subscribe for more. And if you want to help support the channel, donate to my Patreon, link down below. All patrons get every single video uncensored a day early. If you can't or don't want to support me on Patreon, that's fine.
Sorry, I'm broke.
I didn't want you to anyway. Baka. Okay, I will see you guys soon with a fun slop video just in time for Christmas. Bye!
All right, that was some very powerful revelation. Or do I want to say powerful? No, I think it's very much a lot of the stuff that I've been truly thinking about for like years now, and how the political discourse, especially in the US, has gone to, or has devolved into. It's just so bad. And she basically touched on a lot of things, especially at the end, that I really fundamentally believed for so long, is that basically the American government is fucking with everybody in convoluted ways that not many people are able to see. Like even the populism thing, like, because she made another video, one of her videos discussing like why the Republicans won or why the Democrats lost. She mentioned populism, and she used an actual example of a US presidential candidate that was utilizing populism to win the votes. But then, like, when these conservatives are gaining the popular vote, like, they're slowly either implementing policies that directly contradict the things that they preach, or they're just ignoring or not actually delivering all of their promises that they made yet again to their people and actually showing actual care. Or just flip-flopping around on certain policies or not being firm or changing their stance. And it's just, it comes off as you being manipulative once again and just reinforcing the notion that that like neither party actually cares about the people, or that nobody in general or very few people in general actually care about the American people, or more, I guess more specifically the middle class, the average worker, the Joe Schmo. And it's just like y'all are being stupid right now. So instead of talking about the whole like Putin's text messages of Bill Clinton or Donald Trump allegedly giving a blowy to Bill Clinton or whoever it was, that weird high school gossip bullshit that I'm a little bit confused to this day, like why Putin of all people has that dumb shit. No, you should be talking about actually promising the people what you or delivering the people what you promised, instead of being no different than those snake-like Democrats. You're just snakes all around. And I guess, yeah, in general, I'm just saying a lot of stuff that people have virtually been saying for decades. Like, the people are not being represented or taken seriously. And they're so desperate to the point where they're just willing to hear out the voices of anyone that sounds so remotely fresh or new, especially from people who are not old. Like I said earlier, people who are more alike, closer related to them, like in terms of generation, instead of like appealing to the older generation. Because, and that's why they just able to step up. But yeah, that's basically all I also have to say. It was a very like interesting video, touched on many different topics, and it didn't really just like stick to one topic like her usual other videos. And I'm sorry if it just feels like I'm all over the place or that I interrupted a lot of times. But yeah, I'm running out of ideas to say. So, yep. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Um, like I said earlier about my other video that I was in the middle of editing, probably, hopefully, I really hope that I actually get this like done before the end of the week at least, because I'm gonna try to edit this video out a little bit and hopefully get it uploaded by tomorrow. I'm gonna try to get it done by tomorrow. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. Keep forgetting that I have to, I'm a content creator. I need to do the content creator stuff. So yeah, do all those things. Leave a comment. Get the engagement going. Get the algorithm going. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.